It's espresso time and penny time.
Have a good time, live a good life. What you mean when you say you a new heights? What you mean when you play like all night? Nightlife is a highlight. I'm a fly guy, this is skyline. I don't got the time for my problems. I got the time to dissolve them. Music is my oxygen, I'm breathing, no stopping. Human but my oxygen, the music when it's dropping. Some about these vibes provided in these lines. I'm trying to design the rhyme, checking my mind. Music be described, I got ahead of my time. Beat be prescribed, cause I feed it full of lines. Money ain't nothing, you turn it into something. I'm selling for the money, make you look real funny. Put my own name in discussion, I'm a hustler. Real hard to show you that I'm coming, yeah. Let me tell you that it's going on.
I got myself an espresso to get me perked up for the evening, and good stuff. And I got a box of pennies. So I got a call the other day from one of my tellers. She was a teller that I met way back in, I think, September. And she had said, come back once a month or so. I'll hang on to all the pennies for you. And you can come by and pick them up. And then if I find anything else, I'll set that aside for you as well. So she called me the other day, said, I got some pennies for you. And if you want to come by and grab them, I said, sure, I'll be by the next day. Went over and picked them up. And so I got a little over a box of pennies here. So I'm looking forward to going through these. They've been sitting here for a couple days, and happy to get into these. And I thought I'd throw this in here. All of us like a deal. I'm a big garage saler as well. Love to get out to garage sales. I actually got these a couple years ago. So I have a set of 9 of these beautiful espresso cups. They are 24 karat gold, directly hand painted from Greece. And yeah, I got these for $10 for all 9 of them. So always love a deal. Love a deal when I get my pennies. I love a deal when I get my coins. I love a deal. So anyway, thought I'd share that with you. Let's get into these pennies, and I'll bring you back in. Same format as usual. We'll just start with these ones on top. We'll work our way through, and I will bring you in as soon as I find something interesting. All right, let's get to it. Well, we're 4 rolls in. I just finished the last of those first 4 rolls there, and we do have a find. We found a 1957 Young head here in okay shape. It's not got the hanging 7 die clash on it, which is one of the varieties you're looking for on the 57, but definitely hang on to that for now. And yeah, the other thing I noticed that this plastic holder that it was in actually has a little black mark on there. I noticed that on North Central Coins. He was doing some pennies, and he also, I don't know if it was pennies or maybe it was nickels, but he also had one with that that black mark on it. So it almost looks like somebody's marked it. But there was a young head in there. Now, they're not particularly rare, as I'm finding. I've got stacks of these now. So maybe they weren't really caring about it, and that's why it's in this roll. But for now, I'm going to hang on to that. All right, so this is about 6 rolls in, and this is the second roll of pure US that I've opened. I didn't look at the bottoms of these, but yeah, it looks like these are all going to be US, so that'll be interesting. Anyway, I will go through and look for some of the double die, obverse, and reverse varieties on this. I have started pulling some of those out, so I'll check them all together at the end. I did get a wheat penny, a nice one here, 1944, and we got this dime. So we're up. So we're on the next roll, and found a few in this last roll. I did find a random Canadian penny right in the middle of it all. It is the Centennial with the dove on it, and it does have a chance for doubling on this date. I did check it for that doubling and didn't find any, so I will keep it for the copper in it, but that's about it. I also got a 1969 S. I don't get very many S's, and this one does have a doubling or an opportunity to find some doubling on it, so I will check that one later as well. And then we did get a 2009 formative years Lincoln penny. These ones are a little bit lower mintage, and there's been a ton of errors on them, so I will go through all of those much closer at the end of it. And that's it. Next roll, and we got a few more. So we got a 1950 wheat penny under that roll. We also got a 1969 S and a 1970 S. Both of those have some doubling to look for on them, so I will set all those aside, set the wheat cent up there as a find, and add to the pile as far as stuff I'm going to check through a little closer for doubling. Next roll, we got 2 more wheat cents. We have a 1952 D and a 1946 Philadelphia. Pretty beat up shape, but we'll keep those, set them aside as finds, and moving on. All right, so we're done those rolls. Haven't started the box yet, but got through all the individual rolls and all those US ones. Just in those last couple rolls, I did find a couple more wheat cents. They're pretty grimy, not in the greatest shape, but I'll keep them anyway for now. 1953D and a 1944. All right, so I'll set those up with the fines, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through these. These are all the ones that I pulled out that had potential for doubling on them, or some errors, common errors that we should be looking for. So I'm going to go through, I'll sort them by the date, and go through, check them all for the doubling, make sure that I check them thoroughly, because I'm not completely up on my US coins. And there's also some S coins in here as well, that some of them have doubling, but some of them I just don't have that many S's. I don't find them very often, being up here in Ontario. So I'll check my book. I do have a separate book for just the S's, and I'll see if I need any of those. So, all right, I will bring you back in a second after I've gone through those. Okay, so we have gone through the US coins here, and there wasn't a whole lot. I did check all of these for all the different doubling errors. So we've got the 1969 S's here. I got 1971 S that I just pulled up because it has an S in it, and I wanted to check to see if I had that. I did already have a nicer one. I did also have a 1973 S, which I don't have, so I'll add that to my book. I'm going to come back to the 1970 in a second. 1971s, the 1972s, the 1983s, the 1984s, the 1992s, and the 94s. All those have various doubling errors, and then the 92s are where they are here. 92s have the narrow AM, I believe, is what you're looking for. I think that is, if I remember correctly, yeah. So it normally has a wide, what they call wide AM, so a lot of space between the A and the M, right here at the bottom. And then the narrow AM, of course, is where those are almost touching. So that is the 92, and then the 98 to 2000 is the opposite. So what you're looking for is the AM that looks like the one that I just showed you. So you can see these ones here, the A and the M are touching at the bottom, or almost touching. So that is the close AM, and we want the wide AM on these particular coins. So anyway, went through all those, did not have any of them. I am going to keep the 2009. I looked at it, I didn't see any errors in his fingers or anything on the book there, which seems to be where the common errors are. But the one interesting thing that I did run across is the 1970 S's. So I have one here over on the scope, and the very first thing I saw was this. So I know there is a doubling, double-dyed obverse for the 1970S, and I thought maybe I'd found it. And it's a pretty pricey coin if you can find it. However, I don't think this is it. I think this is actually a machine doubled coin, although it is the only place on the coin where the doubling has happened. I can't see any doubling anywhere else on any other spot in the coin. But that is also part of the problem when I look at the website, PCGS website for this particular coin. The doubling does seem to be all over. So if I go back over to this screen here and look at the 1970S double die, and you can see there is doubling all through the lettering. You can see the doubling there. You can see the doubling on the L, the I, the B there, even in the E. You can also see it slightly in the number and in the S. So when I look at this coin, the only place I see the doubling is on that date. And it does kind of look like machine doubling. It looks like it was stamped once and then stamped on top. So that's my guess. However, it is a rather expensive coin if you can find it, and I'm not 100% sure, and it is different than anything else that I've seen in the 1970Ss. So I will definitely be hanging on to that one. I'll stick that in a 2x2, and we'll, who knows, maybe down the road I'll find out that it is worth something. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, by all means, please let me know. All right, so that's it for the unboxed stuff. So let's get into the box now. All right, roll 21 if you want to count the first 14 there that we did before. And we've got a couple finds here, a couple wheat cents out of this. Again, we got a whole roll of US pennies. And there's 2 wheat cents in here. Another 1944. I think we've got at least 1 or 2 of those already. And a 55D. I'll throw the 55 up here. So we got a few 50s and a few out of the 40s. And on to the next. Well, we're, what is that, 18 rolls into the box here, and we have a couple more finds. So it seems to be the US coins that we're getting finds in. I've been finding a lot of rolls that are 100% US, and this one had two wheat cents in it, 1953 and a 1956D. Roll 22 of the box, and we got a couple finds here, Canadian pennies finally. So we got a 1957 young head and a 1958 young head. I did check them both for the hanging versions. They do not have that die clash on them. We're on roll 28 of this box, and we have three more finds here. Again, a lot more US. And I pulled three wheat cents out, another 1944, a 1956D that has the, or that I looked for the D over D mint mark. It's not on there, so not a variety, and a 1957D. So we're getting close to the end here. We got 12 rolls to go, and this actually turned out to be a pretty fruitful roll. So again, pretty much all US, except for the one Canadian coin that we found in there, which was a 1952 King George V, or sorry, King George VI. So that was kind of cool. And we also got four young heads in there as well. So that was the most productive roll out of everything we've seen so far. We got 1944, 1948s, two 1948s, I guess, and a 1953D. All right, we're getting close to the end here. We got three rolls to go. I think three, yeah. Three rolls to go, and we have found our oldest wheat penny yet. So we got a 1935 here, Philadelphia. So that's a nice one to find, earliest by far. Two more rolls to go, and we got another roll here of primarily US pennies. But what's kind of interesting about this is I got two Canadian pennies. They're the only two Canadian pennies in the whole roll, and they were both older ones. So we got a 1949 King George. I think that is the earliest King George that I have. And then I did get two wheat cents as well. I got a 1955 and a 1940. So pretty decent wheat penny there, a 1940. And most interestingly, this 1962 is actually one of the hanging two variants. So you can probably see it as I turn it into the light there. But I'm going to put it up on the scope so you can see a little bit better. And you can see it this way. There you go. You can kind of see it. So it is right here. And it curves up, and that's the hanging die clash that you're looking for on the hanging pennies. They're all slightly different as you go through all the young heads. That die clash is just a little bit different for each one, but that is a hanging too, so I will take it. Nice to find, and in not bad shape. It's got some discoloration to it, but it's still got some luster on the coin. It's kind of a red-brown. I don't know what that obverse looks like. Yeah, obverse is pretty decent, except for the grime. So I'll take it. That's good. Well, the box is empty. We're done. And we've had better hunts, but this is not a complete write-off, and it's a little bit different. Some of the stuff we got this time around was different than what I've got in the past. We had a lot of US coins in that. As you can see, I upgraded my bucket and filled that up pretty good. Lots of US. Also got a pretty decent amount of 60s and 70s copper, 100% copper pennies there. And so because we had so much US, we had quite a bit in the way of wheat cents. So as you can see here, we've got a decent number of 1940s wheat pennies. We got some 1950s wheat pennies. And we got a 1935 wheat penny. So not a bad haul in the wheat cents there. We also got a few of the older Canadian pennies. So we got some of the young heads here, the 52, 257s, a 58. And then we did get a King George VI in the 1949. This is just an S penny that I wanted to have in my collection that I didn't have. The 2009 we're hanging on to. We got the nice dime there. So we're at a profit of 9 cents already. And we have these two 1970s. I'm going to keep them both. But the one, as you remember, is the one with the doubling on it. So I think it's the top one here. Let me just take a quick look. Yeah. So it is just on the date, which is kind of unusual. Typically when you see machine doubling, you will see it all over the coin. And I don't see it on anything else except that date. So if anybody has some thoughts on that, I would love to hear your comments and let me know. But I'll be hanging on to this one for sure anyway. A definite find here is our 1962 Hanging 2. So it's not the best I have seen. Some of them are very easy to see with the naked eye. This one, not as much, but it is there. It's definitely Hanging 2. Let's see if I just can't seem to get it to quite hit it. So anyway, that is a Hanging 2. All right, that's it for this hunt. Thank you very much for joining me. Please like and subscribe to the video. Hopefully we get another box in a couple weeks from her. So she seems to want to give me a call every time she's accumulated some. And they obviously are getting their pennies in on a fairly regular basis. So she just collects them all for me and I'll get a chance to hunt through them. So it was a reasonable hunt. So I'm happy to have got those and I'll be happy to get some more. All right, you guys all have a great day and take care.